115 for Ashley Dyce.
Paralympics is right there. We're parallel to them.
Well, she's got it there. Is it good this time?
I think the best way is following the athletes, hearing their stories, and just falling in love with them that way. And then you see them compete, and then that kind of just brings that together.
Yes, it is. It's 2-1 in her favour. It's a good lift. She's up into the bronze medal position. And another new lifetime best for Ashley Dyce.
Yeah, my faith is everything to me. I mean, I honestly believe I wouldn't be here without my faith, without believing in God.
Hey everyone, Jamie here. Welcome to Flame Bearers Unedited, a brand new series bringing to you largely unedited conversations. We heard you loud and clear. You want to hear more stories of more elite women athletes from around the world. So let's jump in.
My name is Ashley Dyce. I'm a Team USA Para Powerlifter. I've been in the sport for about 8 years, but I've been doing adaptive or Paralympic sports for 10 years. From Colton, California, which is about 60 miles east from Los Angeles. So we're definitely excited for the games to come to LA in 2028 because they'll feel like home turf. Outside of sport, I work as a freelance graphic designer. I own a vending machine business. I do ministry at my church. I became a life coach last year, and I published my first book like 2 months ago. So your girl is busy.
Major props to you. I need to hear about all of that in due time. Let's start with the Ashley the athlete part of you. You mentioned you got into para powerlifting 8 years ago, but you've been in adaptive sports, I think you said, for 10 years. Walk us through what that journey has been like.
Originally, back in 2012 is when I found out about the Paralympics. I was watching the Olympics like I usually do every 4 years, and they started advertising Paralympics, and I'm like, what is that? You know, did my research. When it came on, I watched it, and I was just like, I gotta be involved some way. So I just kind of started just working out that year. I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what sport I wanted to do. I just started working out. I was like, I gotta get in shape. I gotta, switch my whole life around. And by I want to say 2014, I started training. I met one of the track athletes at a camp, like a adaptive sports camp. And they were like, yeah, you should try it. You're not too old. It's all right. Just get into it. And I started in 2014. That first year, I threw an American record for discus. I was always just traveling and making to nationals. And then about 2017 is when I wanted to try to do track and powerlifting. So I found out about powerlifting in 2016, and I was just trying to do both for a while. And then by 2017, I realized, okay, I have to really kind of pick one side, so I would start to find more success in the powerlifting side. So I just like, okay, I'm going to let go of athletics for now and, really focus on powerlifting and just becoming as strong as possible. So that's where my journey kind of started there.
So that is wild to me that you're watching the Olympics and you see a commercial and you're like, I want to do that. And that just totally changed the trajectory of your life. How cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was just like that. I just saw an advertisement. I was like, hey, I need to be a part of that.
Sure. How would you say that awareness of the Paralympics has or hasn't changed since 2012? Do you think a lot of people are kind of in a similar boat, like may not be aware of the Paralympics? Or do you think it's more widespread now or somewhere in between?
One, I think it's definitely somewhere in between. It definitely has improved a lot, especially with the exposure from the media side. Like this past Paralympics in 24 was streamed. Every sport was streamed. I know in Tokyo, it was like maybe some of the sports were streamed, like especially for my sport, powerlifting was not streamed for Tokyo. So, it's like it's getting better. And especially when I'm talking to other people and they can refer to me as a Paralympian, not to say, oh, she's an Olympian. They understand the difference. And so it's definitely getting better. And I feel like it's going to get even better over the next few years, especially here in America, once we're, advertising for LA 28 and all those things. So it's definitely going to get better. And I hope it gets better,
100%. We're trying to play our small part in helping change that. What would you say to people who don't know about this yet and you're like, okay, we're going to change that? What do you want to say to those people?
My goal is to help the next generation so they don't have to do as much education as I have to do. Definitely for people who just love sports, love competition, love watching the Olympics. Paralympics is right there. We're parallel to them. We train just as hard. You know, we have to qualify. We have to eat good. We have to rest. We have to train hard. We have to do all those things. We still gotta travel over the world and compete just the same, way, but we just don't have that same attention just yet. So for those people who don't know, it's like, watch, tap in, look, see, get interested in the sport, follow an athlete. I think the best way is following the athletes, hearing their stories and just falling in love with them that way. And then you see them compete and then that kind of just brings that together.
You're preaching to the choir on that one. Completely hooked. I was at the Paralympics this past summer.
Oh, nice.
And that was the first time for me at a Paralympic Games in person. Had tuned in multiple Paralympics before that, but it was such a cool experience and I hope more and more people continue to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one of the things I try to, especially encouraging people. I'm like, don't just watch my sport, watch all the sports, just get involved, see what's going on and, have fun.
Share a little bit, if you're open, about the ups and downs of this process. You're an elite athlete competing at the highest levels of your sport. What has this journey been like for you?
Definitely ups and a lot of downs. I think my journey for me has not been like perfect or the way that I absolutely have wanted it to go or been. One of the things being disabled, you're fighting against a lot of adversity in your health and not feeling well and, different things come up. And then working through injuries as well. I've had shoulder injuries which, kind of hindered me from progressing to a competition that, ultimately didn't qualify me for, let's say, 2020 games. I had a shoulder injury 2028, so that kind of just took me off that path and then, starting again another 4 years. But definitely it's a lot. And, the thing I try to do is always deal with it and then overcome. I can't just, sit there and be like, well, I'm sick today. That ruins everything. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel better and I can get to the gym. Or maybe I just focus on my nutrition that day or my mental health and do visualization. I might not be able to get to the gym that day, but I can do my visualizations. I can make sure I eat clean. And then tomorrow, hope that it's a better day. And then I can, keep going. That's how I kind of approach that.
Such an incredible role model. I went back and I was looking at, I noticed you've been doing these Instagram reels showing people kind of what's going on in your day. And you did one on resilience and just what you said, kind of like picking yourself back up. So what advice would you give to young athletes, to people who are struggling right now and need to know how you do that?
Yeah, I think it's definitely focusing on the why or focusing on the goal, the target. If you don't have that in focus, it kind of, when you're going through stuff like that, it kind of makes you come off the path. And then definitely taking things one day at a time, like don't think too much about the future, or like even now I'm trying my best not to think about LA 28 too much, just thinking about what do I need to do today? What do I need to do this week that's going to get me to my next competition, or just have a good training week, just little things like that. Or, even bring it down. If you have to bring it down to maybe every hour, you just focus on every hour. And if that's what helps you just get through the day, then, that's what I encourage people to do.
I'm definitely in need the hourly reminder for me right now. That's a great tip. And you've mentioned a couple times that LA is in your backyard. So how are you feeling about LA? Because it's one thing to go to Paris, to, someone else's backyard, but to compete in your home, that's pretty special.
I'm like so excited. I'm definitely say it's going to take a lot of hard work to get there, but I'm so excited just for it to be here in America. 1, definitely in California, LA, and 3, this will be one of the best or first time that I could like really invite a lot of my friends and family to come, because definitely out of the 8 years that I've been competing, I've had one competition in the United States, and it was in Missouri. So and my family was able to be there, but like say all, you know, the bigger family and friends, this would be the best opportunity because I have a lot of family in LA and here, and for everybody to kind of come together and like see me lift instead of, you know, watching me on TV or whatever. That's what I'm most excited for. So just feeling that energy and that love here.
We have a lot of listeners in our community who are Paralympians, who are Olympians, but we also have a lot of fans who tune in. So when you talk about having your loved ones, your family, your friends at your meets, help us understand what that means to you. Why is that so important?
I think it's just because I know that there's going to be somebody there always rooting for me.
Yeah.
Because, you know, sometimes it is difficult or tough when you do go to competitions, especially during 2020, 21, the pandemic, when we had to lift in front of nobody. Like even us as teammates who couldn't even watch each other lift, like that was difficult to get through that. So all being that support, you know, just even if you just have one person in there clapping for you, that just gives you, you know, like a little boost of energy, and you're like, okay, I can do this, or kind of gives you like that feel good moment while you're out there, so you don't have to just feel so alone.
Well, I'm sure you will have many people who you care way more about, but I will be there with my sign for you.
Yes, absolutely.
You got it. If you're open, would love to hear a little bit about what things people get wrong about either you or your sport, or maybe it's adaptive athletes or women in sport, wherever you want to take that.
I think definitely for the adaptive side or the disabled community, a lot of people look at us as like we're not good enough, or we're not as, like I mentioned earlier, like we're not as competitive enough, or we don't train as hard, or it's a little bit easier. Like they think, oh, just because you're disabled, you'll automatically be a Paralympian or an athlete, you know. But it's like the able-bodied side. Like not everybody's an athlete. Not everybody can just get up and say, I'm going to join the NBA and, you know, start dunking. So it's the same thing. Like, you know, not every disabled person can just, you know, get up and be an athlete day one. So those are little misconceptions. Definitely for women, being in a strength sport, people can think you're not as strong, or if you're lifting a little bit less than the guys, that you're not as strong. But it's just different. You know, our bodies are different, and the way that we have to lift is different, and the rules, you know, all that. So that's why, you know, we don't compete against each other, but it's just different. It's not like that it's worse or anything like that. But those are the things that I think sometimes people might get hung up on, or just think like that's bad or something, you know.
Sure, absolutely. Would love to hear a little bit about who you are outside of sport. I know you are a certified life coach. You mentioned you wrote a book. What's going on for you outside of para powerlifting?
It seems like I keep myself very busy.
It
but
really does.
Definitely for the life coaching, it's something that's kind of, how am I say, like something that's already in me or my heart, of just inspiring people, talking, especially with the youth, people who are younger than me, people who want to follow their dreams. I'm like, yeah, I'll be in your corner cheering you on. If you need advice, come talk to me. So that's kind of why I did it. I just like, you know, maybe let's just get certified, and maybe it's a retirement plan. Maybe it's something I can do later for athletes who are coming up. So I'm not sure yet how I'm going to use that, but you know, it's there. I have the certification. And then writing my book, I wrote it in 2018. I think I mentioned I had a shoulder injury that same time. So I'm kind of the person, if I'm not doing something, I have to be doing something else. So I'm like, okay, I'm home, I'm injured. What else can I do? So I just started writing, and ultimately it just came into this like inspirational type book, and also about my life. And so at that time, my pursuit was for the 2020 games. So it's kind of, you know, when you read it, it's kind of dated, but it's still in context. It still applies to now. So I was just like, I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to release it how it is. And, you know, maybe I'll start writing another book from, you know, now my journey.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Where can our community members find your book if we want to support you?
It's available on Amazon. And then also I have copies here that I can ship out to people. So if they reach me on Instagram, I can sign it for them and send it out to them. So if you buy it from me, you'll get a signed copy. So if you get it from Amazon, you're not going to get, it's not special.
Great plug. I will chat with you after that because I definitely want my copy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Well, good for you for getting your story out there in your words, on your terms. One word that you used a couple times is inspiration and inspiring. And I would love to ask you about that because a lot of Paralympians who I've worked with don't like that word in certain contexts. They like it in other contexts. What are your feelings about that word?
Yeah, I can agree with that because I think there's actually, when I reread through my book, there's a part I do talk about that word in a way. It's kind of like one of those things where I'm kind of starting to just accept it that, you know, some people, they just need inspiration. And if I'm going to be that person, let me just be that person and, you know, do it. If it's going to help somebody do better in their life. I do battle with, you know, people. Then the other side of it say like it's a workout video and then people say like, oh, what's your excuse and stuff like that. You know, sometimes I'm like, come on now. You know, I don't like it in that context, but you know, it's up and down for me because then ultimately I'm like, if that helps you, I guess go ahead.
Every athlete feels different about it. So I'm given that you mentioned that word, I was curious what your perspective was going to be. Ashley, I know that you're also really passionate about your faith. So if you're open to sharing about it, what does your faith mean to you?
Absolutely. Yeah. My faith is everything to me. I mean, I honestly believe I wouldn't be here without my faith, without believing in God. I feel like I would have lost my mind years ago or just, you know, not be doing all the things that I'm doing. So it definitely helps me stay grounded. It helps me connect with people. It gives me opportunity to serve others, which is something I'm also passionate about. Just helping those who are less fortunate than me, helping kids, helping anybody who needs anything. You know, if somebody asks me like, oh, I don't have this, I'm like, if I can get it for you or find somebody who has it, I got you, you know, or somebody's like, oh, I don't have any gas money. I'm like, here you go, $20, go, you know, whatever. So definitely just helps me stay like neutral. Those times where I feel anxious about something or worried, then I know I can pray. Or when I go to these competitions, you know, I know people are praying for me back home, you know, so stuff like that. And just continue to help and be a part of my church. You know, I didn't mention my parents are pastors there at my church. So it's, you know, I've been in the church my whole life and it's just something I continue to hold on to strongly and dearly. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it. I think oftentimes people see, you know, Ashley the athlete competing on television and they don't necessarily see all the different parts that make you tick, make you you. So thank you for opening up about that. 2 final questions. The first one is something we like to ask every athlete is if younger Ashley was sitting next to you, what advice would you give her?
Wow. Definitely, it gets better. Life gets so much fun. I'm definitely starting to enjoy a lot of my life now versus like teenage years, just trying to figure out things, going through, you know, just regular teenage growing pains and trying to figure out life and understanding my purpose or my why I'm disabled or, you know, all those things. I would just tell younger Ashley, like, it gets better. Just, you know, take your time, relax, take it one day at a time and things are going to get pretty cool later in life, you know, so yeah.
Wow. I hope that some young individuals who are hearing this can take that in, soak that in, and take that to heart. Yeah. The question that we like to end with is, what one action do you want our community to take after hearing your story? And it can be anything you want.
Definitely for me, my goal is to inspire people to follow their dreams and their goals. So one action I would say is whatever that your dream or goal is today, take the action to step forward, going in that direction, whether you have to make a call to somebody, whether you have to apply to a college that you want to go to, start eating right, start working out, start sleeping better, whatever that little action is you got to do. That's what I would encourage people to start doing now. Like, don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for your money to be right, to get older, or think that perfect time is going to happen because it's never going to come. So just start now.
Thanks for tuning into Flame Bearers Unedited. If you like what you're hearing, please leave us a positive review on your favorite podcasting platform or YouTube. If you want to see more behind the scenes coverage, follow us on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, X, whatever platform you're on, we're there too. Thanks, and we'll catch you on our next episode.